Debate, the honourable member for York South Weston.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'm very glad to rise today on behalf of the residents of York South Weston, who sent me here to look after them and to try and make sense of what this government is doing. And one of those residents, a young fellow named Scott Jackson, finished in the top 12 in the Canada's Got Talent show last week, and we want to congratulate him for being such a great self-employed musician. Now, I say self-employed musician because those are the kinds of people who are going to suffer most by the kinds of policies and practices that this government is putting forward to try and deal with the future of the retirement scheme in Canada. First and foremost, people like Scott are going to work till they're 67. Make no doubt about it. The minister may say people have time to prepare for that, which means they're going to save some more money, not unless they can earn more money. And they can't earn more money in the systems we have today when the government is asking employers, or telling employers, that they can now bring people across from other countries and ask them to work for 15% less than the people who are currently working in Canada. It makes no sense. This government is driving down wages as quickly as they can. They are working hard to prevent organized labor from getting any further in the wage battles in this country. Their friends, the CEOs and captains of industry, are doing quite well, thank you very much, and I don't see any 15% regulation for them, calling on them to be replaced by temporary foreign workers being the CEO of big corporations, but that's the reality that the Conservatives have put forward. So the suggestion that this scheme, and I'm going to call it a scheme because that's really what it is, of pooled registered retirement plans will somehow be the solution, is just so looking at the world through such rose-colored glasses as to be laughable. It is perhaps if you want to be generous to the government across, it is an addition to an arsenal of possible retirement schemes. But it is really fundamentally no different than what is already there, except in the ability to pool. There is already a registered retirement savings plan scheme and a tax-free saving account scheme that most Canadians can't afford to belong to. 74% of Canadians don't put money into RRSPs, and yet 60% of Canadians, as the minister opposite already stated, don't have a workplace pension plan. And the numbers of workplace pension plans are actually going down and are being converted as we speak from defined benefit plans to defined contribution plans in record numbers. Employers across the land are discovering that they can no longer afford to continue the good, solid, defined benefit plans that are similar to the Canada Pension Plan, and we're supposed to work in tandem with the Canada Pension Plan. But the systems that these governments before this one and this one have put in place make it impossible for employers to deal with the huge deficits that these plans are rolled up. These deficits are not caused by some kind of structural problem with the defined benefit system. What they're caused by is the abnormally low interest rates that we have in this country. That the abnormally low interest rates that we have in this country are forcing employers to put huge amounts of money into pension plans for a wind-up, a potential wind-up of that plan. That's not likely to happen. If the company continues to exist and is profitable, they will continue to contribute into that defined benefit plan. But the wind-up costs become enormous because as soon as you try and buy annuities with the wind-up of a pension plan, you have to come up with enormous sums of money. And so employers all over this country are dropping them like hot potatoes. The government has not provided them any relief. There has been no discussion by this government of finding a way around this to preserve the system, or to make it possible to preserve the system of a combination of Canada Pension, OAS, and a defined benefit plan in an employer setting. And those three pillars of what we have now are, two of them are under attack, and the third is being left stagnant, is being left where it is. The NDP has a plan, and the NDP plan is to suggest that the Canada Pension Plan is so successful that it should be doubled. It is clearly the cheapest, the most reliable, and the most sustainable form of pension in this country. The Canada Pension Plan, which is a type of defined benefit plan that is a recognition of your years of service times your wages, which is how most the good pension plans in this country are calculated, provides a portion of what is intended to be Canadians' pension regime when they retire. One portion is the old age security, one portion is the Canada Pension Plan, and the third portion is either personal savings or your workplace defined benefit plan. Now, because 60% of Canadians don't have a workplace pension plan, and a number of those Canadians are now in workplace pension plans that are precarious and dependent upon the stock markets, and if you happen to retire at the wrong time and the stock markets are down, woe betide you. You won't be able to retire. So we have not come up with an overall scheme. This government has put a Band-Aid on a scheme that needs something more than a Band-Aid. And the only thing they proposed is kind of like a bigger group RRSP. It still has the same precarious nature of depending upon market forces for its success. It still has the issue of there is no mandatory provision to it. You don't have to belong, so you don't have to contribute. And it has no requirement for the employer to contribute. With those three things missing, those three things being a problem with this pooled system, it's a bad system. Now, it may suit a very small minority of Canadians and a small minority of Canadian corporations, companies, businesses, owners, that have no other alternative. But if that's going to be the case, the better solution is to double Canada Pension. Gradually, over time. The Conservatives call it another tax. It's not a tax. It's a pension. It has nothing to do with taxing anybody. It's a way of maintaining a pension. And if we're suggesting that employers are contributing already to this, to the Canada Pension Plan, and that over time those contributions should double so that Canadians who have no other alternatives will at least have something sensible to retire on, a portion of money that comes from a Canada Pension Plan, think of the downstream benefits to that. Number one, you reduce poverty. And reducing poverty, we thought, was a good thing. Number two, you reduce the government's reliance on guaranteed income supplements. If Canadians have a doubled Canada Pension Plan and old age security, fewer and fewer of them would need that government handout. And so we're making the future more sustainable through a present that looks forward. That's not what this government is doing. The government is trying to scare Canadians by suggesting that somehow the old age security system we now have is unsustainable, and that in combination with the guaranteed income system will bankrupt the country. That is the absolute furthest from the truth. Yes, there is a slight bump when the baby boomers in this country retire, but their plan allows those baby boomers to all retire anyway and continue to collect OAS. So the bump isn't being dealt with. And that belies the fact that they consider this to be a problem. By the time we get around to implementing their plan, we'll be on the downward slope of the baby boomers, and we'll end up with a sustainable system again. So their plan is crazy. Their plan is not an effective way to create sustainability in our pension system. We in the NDP have determined that the best way to go forward and the best way for the sustainability of the entire system is to double the Canada Pension Plan. And that's not what this government is doing. This government is suggesting that we should put our money into more personally risky investments. And as long as that's the case, as long as there's a personal risk, then you roll the dice on which year you retire. If you retire in a bear market, well, too bad, so sad. You've run out of your pension, and I've run out of time. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions and comments.